Have you ever spent, I don't know, weeks, maybe even months, just heads down coding an app?
Right.
You're completely obsessed with the logic, the database, the APIs. You know the engine is solid.
Mm-hmm. The internal mechanics are perfect. You've done all that hard intellectual engineering work.
Exactly. But then you finally deploy it, you look at the finished product on the screen, and this wave of doubt just hits you.
Right.
The buttons are all misaligned, the colors look like they were picked from a kid's crayon box, and the whole thing just screams, outdated hobby project. It's frankly a little embarrassing.
That is the classic developer tragedy, isn't it? We code first, and we try to design later. We get the function working, and we promise ourselves, oh, I'll make it look good once it works.
But later never really comes, does it?
It almost never involves a real design effort, and you get that messy final product.
So we found a way to completely flip that script. We've dug into this simple, structured, four-step AI system that uses tools like Gemini Pro, and it forces you to define a professional, polished design blueprint before you write one single line of code.
And that's our deep dive mission today. We're going to take that fuzzy app idea you have bouncing around in your head, that little spark, and run it through this precise, step-by-step design funnel.
We'll start wide, using AI as your product management boss. Then we'll narrow it down, filtering out all the technical noise.
Then we generate the atomic rules, the style guide, and finally, the secret weapon of pro apps, designing for all those unexpected UI states.
All right, let's start at the wide end of that funnel. The biggest reason most projects, stall or just look messy is that the initial idea is fuzzy. If all you have is, I want to build a simple habit tracker, you just don't have any direction. That vagueness is where feature creep and all that visual mess gets born.
You need a map, and that map is a product requirements document, or a PRD. Now, historically, this was some big document written by a whole team member telling engineers what to build.
Sounds very corporate.
It does sound corporate, but for us, solo builders, it's just a non-negotiable definition of what success even looks like.
And since most of us are working alone, we need that expert guidance. We need a boss, right? So that's where we make Gemini Pro step in and act as that seasoned, objective product manager.
Exactly. And to do this, your prompt has to be extremely specific about the role and the output. You tell the AI, act as an expert product manager with 15 years of experience.
Okay.
Then you ask for 3 key sections for the PRD, and these are crucial for the design phase.
So what's the first one?
First, a concise executive summary. That's just the elevator pitch. Second, core features. And listen closely here. You have to limit the AI to the top 3 or 4 essential features.
Why so few?
Because if you let it list 10, the app will get complex and ugly before you even start. Simplicity is the foundation of good design.
Got it. And the third section?
The third mandatory section is user stories. This forces the entire project to focus on value, not just a list of features. It uses that classic format. As a user, I want to do an action so that I get a benefit. It defines the why behind every single screen.
So if your fuzzy idea was, say, a personal journal app, the PRD comes back and immediately tells you that quick entry and mood tracking are the absolute core features. It tells you exactly what to build first.
Right, and that defined list of requirements just replaces all the guesswork. That structure prevents feature creep and, more importantly for our design, it prevents those messy screens that come from trying to cram 10 features into one small space.
So why is starting with that PRD so essential before any visual work?
A clear PRD prevents feature creep and wasted time.
Okay, so we have our PRD. Now we hit the second big hurdle. That PRD is full of things like database schemas, security rules, encryption requirements, all that essential backend logic.
Right. It's way too technical for a designer at this stage. We need to separate the pipes from the paint.
Pipes from the paint? I like that.
Think of it like this. The PRD is the blueprint for the whole house, right? Including the plumbing and the electrical wires. Those are the pipes. But for this step, we only care about the color of the walls, the feel of the doorknobs, the layout of the rooms, the paint. We only care about what the user sees, clicks, and touches.
So we take that long technical PRD, we feed it back to the AI, and we give it a new job.
A new hat. It's now the lead product designer. And this is what we call the feature extractor prompt. The whole goal is to distill the requirements down to only the information that directly impacts the user interface.
So you're telling it what to ignore?
Explicitly.
Yeah.
You instruct the AI to ignore all mentions of APIs, security, database names, any backend logic.
And the AI shouldn't just summarize, right? It needs to add some simple UX guidelines.
Exactly. Things like make it look clean or use big buttons for mobile. The result is a clean design requirement. Something like user needs a save button that changes color when clicked.
What's the biggest gain from ignoring the pipes in this stage?
Focus shifts from coding logistics to user experience.
I still wrestle with prompt drift myself when I try to keep design separate from server logic.
2-sec silence.
It's a constant battle to enforce that boundary, even with an AI.
That focus shift is the entire gain.
Now we get to the visual identity, and this is where I think most of us developers really crash the aesthetic vehicle.
Yeah, we do.
We open up a color picker, start moving sliders around, and try to invent a brand palette from nothing. And unless you went to art school, picking colors and fonts is it's fundamentally hard.
So don't invent, be inspired. The best designers look at what already works. I'd recommend using a resource like Mobbin. It's this huge library of screenshots from successful apps like Airbnb or Duolingo.
So you find a vibe you like.
You find the vibe, grab 3 or 4 screenshots that just perfectly capture the feeling you want for your app.
Okay, so now we combine the UI features from the last step with those visual aesthetics. The AI's new job is senior UI designer, and we're asking it to build the actual DNA of our app.
And you have to be careful here. If you just ask it to copy an existing app, your final product to feel a little derivative, bland.
Right.
The AI needs specific direction to make it unique, even if it's inspired by something else.
And that direction is forcing the style guide to be an ironclad developer's cheat sheet. The prompt has to request exact technical specs, not just a primary color, but the specific hex code. I've wasted days trying to find the perfect shade of red.
You have to give the AI the rules. For example, primary color, Sumo Gold, hex code, hashtag FFC805, background, midnight black, hashtag 121 into 12. It has to be that specific.
And it goes way beyond just color.
Oh, yeah. You need typography specs, exact font sizes for H1 headings, body text, captions, and component rules. What's the button roundness? Say 12 pixels. What are the standard padding and margin rules?
So how does relying on hex codes simplify the developer's work?
It removes guesswork, ensuring visual consistency instantly.
Okay, if you look closely at professional applications, this next step is their secret weapon. They design for the exceptions. Beginners, we only design for the happy path. That one perfect moment when the user's logged in, they have data, the internet is fast.
But if you don't design for the unexpected, the slow internet, the empty profile, the network error, your app immediately feels brittle and broken to the user, even if the backend is perfect.
So we need to define the 4 key versions or states for every single screen. The 0 state, which is when the user has no data, the loading state, the error state, and the active state when everything's full.
And we use Gemini Pro again to describe these states exactly, using every single hex code and font rule from our style guide. You don't just ask for a spinner for the loading state. No, you request a friendly message and a specific accent color from your palette.
Let's use an example. Let's nail down the 0 state for a new user's dashboard.
Okay, the AI would describe it perfectly. The background is midnight black, hashtag 121212. The central visual is a large grayed out line art icon, maybe slate gray, hashtag 2C2C2C. It implies potential without being overwhelming.
And the text?
The text would be something like, your story starts here, using the heading font at size 24px. The call to action isn't just a button, it's a pulsing element, using your primary Sumo Gold color, pointing the user to the main action.
That feels so much more intentional than just a blank screen.
It makes the app feel complete, not broken. This level of detail is what separates the pros from the amateurs.
So why is that 0 state arguably more important than the active state?
A welcoming 0 state prevents new users from thinking the app is broken.
So at this point, we've done all the heavy lifting, architecturally speaking. The funnel is complete. The plan is locked down. Coding now shifts from creative problem solving to just simple, focused execution.
You're just following instructions.
Exactly.
You want a modern tech stack for this. Something like React, Tailwind, CSS, because its utility classes align perfectly with those hex code definitions, and Lucide React for icons, and an IDE with AI extensions like VS Code.
And here's a key trick for mobile-first apps.
Yeah.
The mobile simulation trick. Ask the AI to render the code inside an iPhone device frame right there in your browser, and tell it to suppress the default scroll bars. It immediately gives you that native mobile app feel.
And a big warning here. Do not try to generate the entire app at once. That's a recipe for failure.
So you build one feature at a time.
One at a time. The builder prompt must be modular, And for every single prompt, you include a copy of the style guide and the specific state descriptions for that feature.
Because the design work is so clear up front, the AI-generated code often looks great the first time. It just removes all that ambiguity.
Whoa. Imagine scaling this precise architectural design blueprint to a billion query iterations instantly. That's the real power here.
So what happens if the code isn't perfect right away?
Because the plan is clear, fixing small issues is fast and targeted. You just tell the AI, make the button full width and use the primary color, referencing the rules. You don't have to describe it all over again.
Let's talk about the lessons learned, the four most critical pitfalls developers run into when they adopt this kind of system.
Okay, mistake number 1, skipping context. The AI has a limited memory in each chat. If you start a new conversation for a new page, it forgets your rules.
So you have to remind it.
You must paste the style guide into every single new prompt. It's how you enforce consistency and remind the AI of your app's DNA.
Mistake number 2, just relying on boring text buttons. An app full of labels like delete or submit feels clunky.
It really does. You should always explicitly request an icon library, like Lucide React or Heroicons, to make the interface clean and intuitive. Icons just communicate faster than text.
Mistake number 3 is making lazy requests.
No, this is a big one. Avoid generic, meaningless words like make it modern or make it cool. You already defined the style.
Be specific.
Be specific. Use rounded corners of 12 pixels. Apply the secondary color for the border. Specificity is the non-negotiable requirement for quality output.
And the 4th mistake,
Forgetting the empty user. Always design that welcoming zero state. A blank screen suggests your app is broken to a new user, and they'll probably just leave.
so why do we have to redefine the style guide in every single chat?
The AI needs constant reminders to ensure consistency.
You know, when you step back, building professional, beautiful apps, it isn't about some innate artistic genius. It's really about establishing a repeatable, reliable process. By letting the AI handle the detailed planning, the style guide, the state definitions, you really elevate your own role to that of a strategic architect.
You're handing the AI a perfectly organized recipe book instead of asking it to invent a recipe and bake the cake at the same time.
And the outcome is what?
Speed, consistency, and a professional polish.
So we have a challenge for you now. Think of the simplest app idea you can. Maybe just a grocery list widget or a single feature calculator.
Open up your AI tool and just run that initial product manager prompt from step 1. Define the core features and maybe 3 user stories. Don't worry about the style yet.
And don't write any code. Just stop and examine the structured plan the AI gives you. Once you see that clear, defined map, that architectural blueprint, you'll instantly feel more confident about the entire process. Go define your vision.